Hello, Mike here from Phoenix Toy Aussies. Today's video is going to be how I make my dog treats. I've tried multiple recipes and have found probably 3 or 4 at least appeasing to all my dogs and to the neighbors' dogs. Anybody else who has a dog that comes around me when I have dog treats, I'll pull 1 or 2 of them out and see if their dogs will eat them, and they go crazy for them. So I thought I would produce a video to show you a little bit about how I make my dog treats with some variations in it so that you don't always have to make it the same way. My main ingredient for my dog treats is always liver. I either buy beef liver or I buy chicken livers in those little plastic containers. At my store, they'll put about 1.5 pounds in a butter container, and I usually pay between $1.50 and $2 for my liver, and that's what we're going to make today. But today is going to be beef liver. This cost me $1.45, and the first thing I do when I start making my dog treats is I preheat my oven to 350, and then the first thing I want to do is puree my liver. So if you'll stand by here for just a second, I'll pull my liver out and pop it in my food processor. That's going to be a little loud here for a second, so please stand by as I puree up my liver real quick. By the way, I wanted to tell you that this weighs just under 1 pound. So sometimes I'll put in 1.5 pounds of chicken livers, 1 pound to 1.5 pounds of beef liver. Doesn't really matter as long as there's liver in there. I like to give them every once in a while. I'll buy a little extra liver and give it to them so that it's kind of meaty compared to like a hard cookie type thing. So here we go. Stand by while I grind. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of water in it to make it a little bit more runny. Not much, just enough so it'll come out of my container when I put it in the mixing bowl. Stand by, here we go again. And that's just fine. Now, you don't have to go very long with it. Now, what I do from here is I take my puree and I pour it in first. It's my first ingredient into my mixing bowl. So I will go ahead and just dump it right in there. I have no problems with liver. I like to eat liver, so the look and the smell doesn't bother me. It does bother my wife a little bit, though. Now, what I like to do is I like to go in here and scrape this out, get as much of that as I can into their mixing dish. I don't like to waste any of it. Okay, so roughly this is what it looks like, and it looks like I have about, well, I'd say a good cup to 1.5 cups of puree. My next step is to add 2 eggs to help bind everything together. Now comes the ingredients. Now, what I typically use is flour, and when I am mixing it up, I make 3 types of dough, basically. Flour and oatmeal, flour and Bisquick, and flour, Bisquick, and oatmeal, depending on whether I want really crunchy treats or if I want a little cake-like treat. I use Kongs for my dog food treats for my dogs, and if you've ever seen a Kong, I can insert some of the treats inside the Kong, and it gives my dogs at nighttime roughly 30 minutes to an hour of chew time of just gnawing on their hard rubber while they get their treats out. And every once in a while I put in the extra crispy, which is what I'm making today. And I've already made a batch of the cake-like, and I'll show you the difference at the end of the taste. So, stand by for one moment. Now, I've never been one to measure, so typically what I do is I just start pouring stuff up and mixing and mixing. And so I've read recipes where people say I put in 1.5 pounds of flour, and I don't use scales. And other people just say they pour stuff in, they measure it out into cups, and I just don't want to get that many dishes dirty, so I just take my sack and I pour in what I would presume to be about, maybe about 2 cups of flour. Now after I put in the 2 cups of flour, then I go to my oatmeal. And I just buy store brand oatmeal, it doesn't have to be expensive. And I'm about to pour in about this much oatmeal, so it's about 1/2 container. Stand by. Like I said, about 1/2 container. Let me finish this off a little bit. And that looks about right. Now at this point, with 2 eggs, roughly 2 cups of flour, and 1 cup to 2 cups of rolled oats is what I have in the recipe minus the liver.